Welcome back to this week's vlog. I'm really sore today. This week is a little different in that I don't have training on the ice. As a result, this week looks a little different, and I want to capitalize on the downtime to explain stuff that goes outside of the track, my plan, all of that breakdown of what I want to do over this year and the next coming 4 years. This is a good time for me to sit down and have weird hiccups. Explain everything that's happening, the reasons behind it, the path I want to take, everything that I can think of to summarize quickly that will explain everything that I'm doing throughout this year. So that's coming up later. I also wanted to initiate a challenge for myself at the beginning of these weeks, being that this is turning into a weekly episode and there's 52 weeks in a year. I think it's a really great opportunity to challenge myself to stick to something for a week and then test its results. This week's challenge was waking up early. 5 o'clock, 5:30 was the goal. I mean, you'll see how it goes. Coffee's ready. Let's roll what I got from earlier this week. It's currently, looks like 11:50 to me. 11:20. I've been trying to go to bed. I've been laying in bed since 9:30, trying to get up early and take advantage of this week, but it's just not happening. My brain is like those memes. It's 8 a.m. too tired to get up, 10 a.m. too tired to think, 5 p.m. too tired to think, 11, 12, 1, let's contemplate every decision ever made. I'm gonna be very, very tired, but I want to be up at 5 a.m. And my goal is to film something at 5 a.m. to prove to you that I made it. How uncomfortable does this look? Because it's as uncomfortable as it looks. I'm gonna try and go back to bed. I'm gonna be up in 5.5 hours, I hope. It worked. 5:20. I fell asleep at like 1 o'clock, and then I woke up at 3:30, and now again at 5. There is no way I would be getting up right now if I had not told you I was gonna film something at 5. Last night I showed what time I was going to bed, but later. So here is proof that I'm trying to go to bed at 9:49. And again, trying to get up at 5. I will film something at 5 a.m. tomorrow just to prove it. This was way harder than yesterday. Hopefully the water helps. I read that helps stay awake. Now I just feel bloated. Midday check-in. I'm done laundry. Still not actually fully dry. I haven't had a very productive day because I've been really tired, I guess. I've done my laundry and then a bunch of administration stuff, but not as much as I wanted to do. I'm not really happy with how today has gone productivity-wise because I've been so tired. But I guess that's what the waking up at 5 a.m. is like at first. Everyone says, go to bed when you're tired and wake up at the same time. That seems to be the most efficient way of totally changing your schedule. What they don't tell you is that your next day is like, don't do this if you have to be good the next day. Do not try waking up at a completely new time if you have to be a valuable member of society the next day. You can't count how many times I've just zoned out 3 to 5 minutes at a time, just lost in, not even thought, just not present. I wasn't just trying to wake up today for no real reason other than I wanted to change my schedule. I had a purpose. I had a call booked, a consultation call booked for 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm doing a lot of research right now in how to successfully run an online personal training business. I've spent way too much time and money on the body, I guess, on how to keep the body healthy, how to train it properly, how to maximize its effort, how to get the most out of it, how to make it the easiest to wake up early, which I have not done well. doesn't mean I don't know about it. It's consistent throughout my life, but not, and so it's not just limited to personal training, but also any type of personal endeavor. I've had a hard time justifying it. Even the idea of making money has been one that I've had a hard time justifying and felt guilty pursuing. I've been really good at adapting to the things in my life that have come up, but I've been very terrible at planning a life and pursuing it. And that's what this year is for me, and over the next 4 years, I hope that this skill set will help me ultimately get to the Olympics. 2019 for me is a year of planning a life and acting on it. This is the coolest way to fold a towel. Look at that. Look at how sweet that looks. Maybe this one's better. This is a better depiction of it. It's like a football. Yeah, it's awesome. Okay. Okay, funny story. This says Balzac. Get beyond that. Balzac is a town, village, hamlet outside of Calgary where my aunt and uncle grew up. I've been a few times, but this Balzac coffee I actually bought in Berlin in 2016. I bought it because of the coffee companies Balzac and yeah. That's pretty good. So update on waking up early. The rest of this week has been absolutely useless when it comes to productivity. Let me preface what I'm about to say with the fact that I've wanted to be an early morning person for a decade. And I've tried other things in the past and nothing has worked. And this week, same thing. I don't really think just waking up early is a good idea to do it. I don't know, maybe 1 week is not enough, but it was useless for me. Like I said, don't do this if you need to be productive or a valuable member of society, because you won't be. Okay, now the main point of this episode. I want to explain this. This is the 2018-2019 High Performance Athlete Skeleton Selection Program, start to finish. First thing I want to explain about this is my plan and my path through it. I'm essentially starting from scratch this year. So I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I don't want to keep doing that. So I'll figure something out in post-production. But number one, talks about the national team skeleton athletes, who are people who were on the World Cup or Intercontinental Cup teams and renewed their status on or prior to July 1st, 2018. So if that athlete did that, they go to the first NSP camp, which I'm assuming just stands for National Skeleton Program, in Calgary, where there is athletic and push testing. More on that in a little bit. Then if you were anything other than World Cup or Intercontinental Cup, meaning Europa Cup, North America's Cup, or development program athletes, you are considered a prospect skeleton athlete. So these are athletes not on those teams, but they have met their respective sprint standards at a BCS camp, standing for Bobsleigh Canada Skeleton. My plan through this is taking this 2018-2019 and imposing it to 2019-2020. That's the next season. My plan this year is to exclusively slide and get run volume and experiment with sled settings and setups and runner cuts that I've been wanting to try, I guess, for the culmination of 7 years of coaching and new ideas and new equipment evolutions. I wanted to take this entire year, remove myself from racing, and I wanted to put 100% of my focus onto research and development. results are so far from important at this point that, and the foundation needed for success in 4 years is this year. That's why I'm calling this entire season the foundation season. So my plan is to take this exact map imposed 1 year from now. I'm going to follow the path of a prospect skeleton athlete and go to this athletic testing. What are they talking about when they talk about athletic testing? I printed off this incredibly small spreadsheet that came from Bobsled Canada Skeleton's website, and it explains all of the metrics. That's the athletic performance evaluation process. So they test you on a few key things that they deem important for the sport of skeleton. So they have anthropomorphic measurement, which make up 5% of your score. They have absolute strength, which makes up 10% of your score. Elastic strength makes up 20%. Speed makes up 25%. And then a single push in the ice house, which I haven't shown yet. A single push in the ice house makes up 40% of your score. And you get a certain number of points based on your percentile in each of those results. But they don't really care about those. The biggest one they care about is the 30-meter sprint time. Now, to go back to the fancy flow chart, they have sprint standards. So what that means is if you sprint faster for men than 3.9 seconds and for women 4.2 seconds over 30 meters, you have met the sprint standard and you can then move from Prospect A camp to National Skeleton Program Camp number 2 later on in the season, usually September, October. And if you test and you meet those standards again, you get invited into the national program. Then from the national program, when you get into this program selection, that's a series of selection races that happen. Usually it's in Calgary and Whistler because there are Canadian tracks. What happens typically is there's 4 races, and then wherever you rank in those selections is the corresponding team you typically make. So Canada traditionally has 3 athletes on the World Cup and 3 athletes on the Intercontinental Cup, 2 athletes Europa Cup, and 4 athletes North America's Cup. This year is not going well, and decisions have been made where Canada's probably going to lose 1 spot on the World Cup and potentially on the Intercontinental Cup as well. My goal for next year is that over the selection program races, my goal is to finish somewhere in the top 6. That's where I'm hoping, and that's where I'm tracking right now. That's where I'm hoping to go. So all that being said, this year for me is a year to research, develop, figure out how to find speed, figure out how to unlock the secrets that exist in the sleds, different setups, and really try and be a tactician when it comes to the technicalities of the sport and sled setup and everything that makes or breaks a race. Execution is really important, and that's what I'm working on as I slide, but equally, and if not more important, is proper sled setup and runner choice for the given ice conditions and track cut, meaning the profile of the ice. All of that stuff goes into a successful athlete on the ice. Then there's all the physical stuff that I'm still working on. That's my plan for this year. Everything all-encompassing, just become a better skeleton athlete with the goal of finishing in the top 6 in the selection races next year and meeting all their standards. I think I'm just going to keep this video at here for this point because I don't want it to be too long and dry. This is a very dry one. Maybe you found it interesting, and maybe you know someone who's been curious about how to get involved in skeleton, or maybe you are curious about how to get involved in skeleton and you're Canadian. This is the path you follow. You reach out to any of your provincial organizations, Google them, you'll find contacts, find out when the next testing camps or sliding or driving schools are, and you can sign up for those, and then you have your foot in the door. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm essentially a rogue athlete this year with no affiliations to anything with Team Canada in the realm of national athletes. I'm training with the focus of being on Team Canada going into next season, but this year I'm an unidentified slider, a USO. Yeah, I really hope that made sense. I've got to work in 3 hours and I've got to go to the gym, so I have about an hour. I'm gonna call this one here. Thank you for watching. Thank you to the Dreamweavers again, who are making this possible for me to stay outside of the national program. It financially is not possible without the help of donations. You guys are all making it possible for me to do this in the way that I want and set myself up the best through this foundation season to have the most success in next year and moving forward into the subsequent years, and hopefully ultimately in the 2022 Olympics. Thank you for watching this. Subscribe if you haven't. It means almost as much as a financial donation to have you subscribed and watching. To share the story and get that out there and feel connected to the whole world is why I wanted to document this and why I wanted to do this for one more quadrennial. Thank you for watching. Have a good week, and I'll catch you next Sunday. Oh, great. This week's 5 Seconds of Gratitude is for a slower week.